For more on this, I want to bring in Heritage Foundation Senior Advisor Genevieve Wood. Genevieve, great having you in studio.
Good to be here.
NATO, President Trump, critical of the organization, but he did release a tweet today saying in the 3 decades before my election, NATO's spending declined by 2/3, and only 3 other NATO members were meeting their financial obligations. Since I took office, the number of NATO allies fulfilling their obligations more than doubled. NATO's spending increased by $130 billion. I think that was something that was needed, sort of a kick in the pants.
Absolutely. And look, he's the first president we've actually seen this happen. You've had plenty of Republicans and Democrats come and go, and they've all said others need to do more. But finally, others are doing more. But the president's right. We got to keep the pressure on. I mean, you have countries like Germany and France who are still paying less than 2% of their country's GDP, which is what NATO calls for, on defense for NATO. And I think if you're Germany and France and you look at places like Russia, you might want to up that spending.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's also been a discussion over the importance of NATO. I know that you happen to be a fan of NATO, but many are saying more recently, whether it was in Afghanistan, beginning in Bosnia, how Yugoslavia dissolved, actions in Libya, which began as a no-fly zone, erupted into a full-scale, effort to get rid of Gaddafi, perhaps to help Europeans. Whatever it is, people are a lot more critical of the organization now than when it was first initiated. Or have there been some mistakes made?
Well, sure. Look, it's a 70-year-old organization. So, yes, there's been times when NATO hasn't done exactly what it should do. But I think you could argue it's been one of the most successful alliances, frankly, in world history. And to the extent that it's not been strong, it's often because its members have not stepped up to the plate. I think what you need there is leadership. President Trump is trying to show that. He is showing that. And I think you're beginning to see others come along. Look, if you're going to stand up to Iran, if you're going to stand up to China, if you're going to have a true strong force against Russia, who else is going to do that?
Right.
The European Union by itself? I don't think so. You have people like Macron in France calling for a EU army. Okay, this is the same country that's not even paying its fair share in NATO, but yet somehow he thinks that there's going to be this new grand Napoleonic, force coming out of France.
Before I let you go,
not going to happen.
Should their role be changed more or adjusted for the increase in terrorism in recent years?
Well, I think as an alliance, we ought to be standing up to whether it's Iran, to whether it's China, any of these countries, and saying not only will we stand up militarily, but we will unite economically to stand up against you and enforce tariffs. That's one of the best pressures against both military factions but also terrorism.
Genevieve, great seeing you in person.
Thank
I know
you,
had to
Charles.
hustle here from a
We did,
crazy
but it was
airport.
worth it. It was
Thank you
worth
so
it.
much. Hey,